Mwt. Peace and blessings to all from Divine Peace Meditation and Yoga. This is Mwt Imani. It's about maybe 15 minutes after sunrise, and I'm doing a little bit of work for the First Eye Cafe. Kettle is already on the stove. I'm doing a little bit of work for the Goddess Urban Farm. I have transplanted another little cherry tomato plant. This is the one that was accidentally planted in Avo's pot when I spilled cherry tomato seeds in the potting soil. So we have moved her to a much larger pot and increased the soil around her up to just below the leaves. And her new home will be placed in a repurposed baby portobello mushroom container. They do not have holes in the bottom like the cherry tomato containers and the berry containers that I have been reusing. And later on, another reclaimed food container from a local Italian restaurant. A reused coffee filter on the bottom because I poked holes in the bottom with my Sierra Club multi Swiss Army knife, multi-tool. So I put a little coffee filter in the bottom, maybe two, to cover all the holes. Might not need two. One might do it. And filled with the augmented potting soil, compost. I only had herbal tea leaves to put in at this time. It's been dreary, so I haven't been doing any work outside so much. It's been overcast, it rained, misty, drizzled all day yesterday. So I'm doing some work inside. Haven't even checked the online weather yet. But I do know that they're expecting thunderstorms in NVA either tonight, Wellness Wednesday, or Thursday, into Thursday. So, I've been meditating on connection to all beings and interconnection. Again, recognizing that there is no true separation between our individual self and the self of others. It's all one universal self with an illusion of separation. So, Friday, Seiko and I took a fam trek to our community center. We didn't want to go too far because clouds were rolling in, and it was mid-morning, about 11 o'clock. And when we left the house, there was bright sunlight, even though it was nippy outside. And by the time we got to the benches in front of the community center, The clouds started to roll in. We sat there for about 20 minutes and the clouds got darker, and then we began our trek back to the house. While we were there, I had slipped into my pocket a letter that I had received fall last year, and it had remained unopened all that time since I received it, because of who I received it from. I had received it from a woman who I had volunteered with while we were doing some community advocacy. Her organization was focused more on raising awareness about climate change and providing solutions to slow down climate change. And I was very concerned with that, especially being a part of an environmental justice group chapter here in Lambert's Point. Very concerned about the coal dust that's been blowing around in the neighborhood and in our district, which includes actually 3 neighborhoods, for decades. But we were working together to raise awareness in our working poor community about strategies to save energy, and about a energy assistance program that had been mandated by our state government, which forced our power monopoly here in Virginia to provide an assistance program for people that were struggling financially. And this is, again, before C-19. We were out there knocking on doors and trying to sign people up to a contact list so that we could follow up and make sure that they were properly enrolled in the program and that they received their benefits as promised. That's a whole nother story. A lot of stumbling blocks, a lot of frustration. But anyway, she and I had different styles, and as I feared, when you have outside organizations coming into the neighborhood, sometimes they see an opportunity, and when their agenda is not met, then they kind of ghost the residents whose hopes they raised. And I tried to prevent that from happening by keeping this group of people, advocates, on task, and keeping Lambert's Point important on their agenda. Out of the entire group, only 2 of us lived actually in Lambert's Point, me and this other young lady. She and I fell out because she wanted to put the outside group, she wanted to put their agenda first and foremost. She had a vested interest. They were doing all of her training, and she had a lot of support from that group. The fledgling community advocacy and resident advocacy group that a few of us formed around environmental justice, we were struggling to get support, even from our own civic league. So, she followed the resources and the support. And we tried to create our own resources and support, which is why I reached out to her group to letting them know that this small resident group needed their help and their support. Anyway, I volunteered with them for over a year and was very frustrated and fully practiced all of my all of my yogic studies. Practice patience, practice putting my mouth in check, diplomacy. I put my own feelings and my own ego way back on the back burner because I wanted to advocate for my community, which was marginalized and underrepresented everywhere. So when I wouldn't fall in line with the larger community, the larger organization's agenda, as usual, I became a problem to them. I became difficult for them. And there was a confrontation of words until she touched me. She put her hands on my shoulder. She thought that she was connecting with me, but she didn't read the room. She didn't read my face. She didn't read my tone. I was serious, and I was not going to be handled, quote unquote, any longer. I was not going to be told no about the ideas that I brought to the table for actions. Because all of my actions were centered either in Lambert's Point or in our district, which is Lambert's Point, Kensington, and Park Place. This larger group, they wanted to do everything downtown Norfolk or in Virginia Beach and or in Chesapeake, and I wasn't having it. I had trailed behind them and did what they wanted, providing extra hands, great ideas, full passion and enthusiasm for over a year. And now I was like, when's Lambert's Point gonna get some love as promised? And I wasn't going to be shushed any longer. So I didn't get loud, but I got serious and I got blunt. And I got I got black, y'all. And then when she put her hand on me, I used all of my self-restraint to keep from pushing her away. And so I stepped back and I stepped away. Far away. And then C-19 hit, and we were no longer having in-person meetings. They were having online meetings and phone meetings, and some of the time I just didn't get the notification in time. Some of that was on me because I'm notorious for going days and a week or more without checking email. But, text messages are hard to ignore, and I wasn't getting any text messages. I wasn't getting any text reminders. So anyway, I'm pissed. I'm angry that this organization has done us dirty, in my mind, like many others who we counted on to partner up with us. So I cut off contact. If she called, I was never home. And and poor Sekou was left to take messages. And if she left a voicemail, I was cussing while I was listening to it. And if I was contacted by email, I went ultra professional and ultra concise in any response that I typed out. So, like I said, this went on for a minute. And in the middle of C19, in the middle of my therapy with Goddess Urban Farm, she popped up one morning. Seiko and I were sitting on the stoop in front of our door. I had a few containers, green peppers, and I was struggling to bring forth some tomatoes. And I was pruning off leaves and watering and talking to the plants and talking to Seiko over my shoulder, and she popped up. I think that she was going to leave a letter on our mailbox, but she heard us talking and me laughing loud, even though it was about 6:30 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning. And so she came around the building, around the front of the building, toward our door. And she said good morning. She complimented the container plants, and she proffered a letter. And she offered it to Sekou because he was sitting the closest to where she popped up. And she said good morning. She said that she was, she had to rush back to her house, which was like 3 or 4 streets away from us, and she scurried away. Seiko and I, after we got over the shock, I went back to cussing and laughing at her feeble attempt to bring me back into the fold. I knew that my ideas were golden. I knew that my enthusiasm was sincere, and I was not going to make any changes. So the letter sat all summer, the entire fall, and the entire winter of late summer, fall, and early winter of 2020, and the remainder of the fall for 2021. But on Friday, I picked up the letter out of my top drawer, and I slipped it into my pocket. And when we got to the community center, I opened it and I read it. And it was a beautifully written letter, full of apologies for misunderstandings, for misspeaking, for hurt that she had done to Sekou and I, known and unknown. The only issue I had with the letter was a couple of times she wrote, "If I hurt you, if I offended you, blah, 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 I sincerely apologize." And it's only that word "if" that I have an issue with. But some people take longer to overcome their conditioning and their privileged programming. So I can't hold her that against her forever. I have conditionings that I need to overcome as well, and I'm working diligently. And I suspect that she is too. So I read the letter. I was ready to forgive myself for what wrong I had done, and I was ready to begin to see this young lady in a more positive light, to acknowledge her sincerity, to acknowledge her unintentional pain, faux pas, wrongdoing. So the next time we had an environmental justice meeting, which was actually the next day. And she was on the virtual call for the meeting. And instead of being cold toward her, I was much more warm and happy to, for the first time in months and months and months, happy to hear her voice, happy to see her face on the screen. So I know that self-study, sincere and diligent self-study, works. It leads to self-care and self-love, which leads to self-mastery. So I'm taking baby steps. I'm doing what my soul needs me to do, what my family needs me to do, what my community needs me to do. And I'm happy about that. I'm actually very, very proud of myself and very, very, very surprised that I stuck with it, that I didn't give up, that I didn't throw up my hands like I would have done last year. The whole point of Goddess Urban Farm was to pull me back from a depression that I saw developing. I just started my job at Norfolk Senior Center. I worked there for 2.5 months before we were shut down. And I stayed in bed, only getting up when it was absolutely necessary, for 3 weeks. And then I walked into the nearby CVS pharmacy, and they had an aloe vera plant sitting there calling my name. It was an entire table of aloe vera plants, medicinal aloes. And I looked at each one of them and I picked out, I was at that table for at least 10 minutes. Other customers came, stared at me, and walked away while I picked up and checked out each and every plant. And I chose the one that looked the healthiest. And that was the beginning. 2 weeks later, Sekou and I took a fam trek up to the same pharmacy. He was hunting for a dark chocolate on sale. And they had more medicinal aloe plants. So this time I bought 2 more, and that is how I began with the 3 medicinal aloe plants. Self-study. It is rough, but it is rewarding. It is eye-opening. It is gut-wrenching. It is tear-dropping. But it is necessary. It is essential. It is liberating to know yourself and to break negative patterns and create healthy habits through meditation, through hard work, through love of self and all beings. I mean, how could you not? How could I not? I have been studying myself since I was 16, and now I am 56. I may step off the path because I'm distracted by my ego self, or by hurt from others, or disappointments, frustrations. But I always bring myself back with the help of Baba Sekou, with the sometimes a cold douse of water from our adult children, and really, really sincere peers. It's impossible to believe that now we are considered elders. How did that happen? I am not mature enough yet to be an elder. So I have to take on the title of senior. I am a graceful senior. I am proud of the work that I am doing and continue to do. And you will be too. Self-study begins by sitting still, being quiet, listening to your inner voice, reflecting on your thoughts, words, and actions from the previous day, the previous week, or the previous month or year. And asking yourself the hard questions about why and what you were thinking, how you could do better. Self-study is difficult to start. It gets easier and easier. The key part is applying what you learn. Letting go of what is unacceptable about yourself. And welcoming changes for the better. Welcoming new skills, new thoughts, new habits that better serve all beings, which includes yourself. And mastering your reactions. I'm saying that wrong. You no longer have reactions. Your self-mastery is to cultivate proper responses for whatever life throws your way, be it negative or positive. Self-mastery is being quick to balance. It no longer becomes such a struggle. It's not that you don't have challenges or struggles, but they are no longer overwhelming. They are not lasting. There is no more long suffering because you are quick to pull out solutions. You are quick to let go of what no longer serves and focus on what is truly, truly important. Mindfulness, compassion, respect, equity, justice, joy, love, and a principled peace. That's the purpose of my self-study. I am going to become Ntr. So, close in unity. Sitting up, grounding my sitting bones, my legs, my feet, better connecting them to the earth, while I lift up my heart, extend through the neck and up through the crown, drawing in the navel to activate core muscles and relieve lower back muscles. Relax down shoulders from my earlobes. Inhale, extend up through the crown, down through the tailbone, legs and feet. Draw in the navel gently. Exhale, and more comfortably ground. Take a slow inhale, and as we even more slowly exhale, let any sound come forth, or remain silent and listen to your inner vibration. Shaasha Aa. Namaste. Amen. Hoping that your Wellness Wednesday continues to be healthy, safe, and blessed. Mer Aa. Much, much love. Blessed be.